Hello everyone, this is PKO Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have a quick review of Justice League Society World War II. This is the 41st entry in the ever-growing catalogue of DC animated movies. It continues the recent trend of standalone stories after the New 52-inspired continuity came to a close with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and you can check out that review also within the channel as well. Justice League Society World War II is released digitally from April the 27th and it goes on Blu-ray on May the 11th. Now the plot here is that we are set in modern day, and in an encounter fighting alongside Superman, the Flash taps into the Speed Force and travels 80 years back into the past within World War II. There, a group of superheroes exists known as the Justice League Society, consisting of Wonder Woman, Steve Trevor, Hawkman, Hourman, the original Flash Jay Garrick, and Black Canary as well, and they've been fighting against the dominance of the Nazi forces led by Hitler. Now overall, this is a very solid animated adventure. The plot and story is very easy to follow and it's quite compelling, particularly in the first half when we follow the heroes and there's discovering the brutal treatments and experiments over the Nazi forces, and there's really quite some interesting elements in the beginning half of this film overall. The animation itself is very clean and crisp and it flows smoothly. It uses that same heavy line thick style that was adopted in Superman Man of Tomorrow, if you remember seeing. Now admittedly, I'm not a big fan of that art style, but it's still a very pleasing aesthetic if you're somebody who's not particularly bothered about the way that the characters are drawn overall, but it still flows very nicely, as I mentioned before. The interpretation of the characters themselves is okay, I think overall. I think Wonder Woman is very solid as the leader of the group. They've adapted that same tactic that we saw in the live action movies with Gal Gadot, where they use a foreign accent for the character, and I've always preferred that approach because I always feel that Wonder Woman shouldn't have a straightforward American or domestic accent. She has to have that foreign accent to give her that much more of an aura, as if she comes across from another place in Themyscira. So I like that as well. I liked her relationship with Steve Trevor. Lots of the humour really comes from that point of view, where they use an ongoing joke throughout the whole movie, and I like the banter between the two overall. We get hints at a love connection between Hawkman and Canary, but it's never expanded on too much overall. There were other characters that weren't really that distinctive when I'm looking at Hourman and Jay Garrick in particular. They weren't really that involved in the story overall from a character point of view. And also another criticism was the Flash character himself. Having been the lead character in the first half of the story, he really becomes periphery in the second half of the movie, almost to the point when I was asking at some point, was he really necessary throughout this complete story overall? There are some dark, intense scenes, as I mentioned before, and short moments of violence, but nowhere near the extreme levels of ultra-violence that we saw in that Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. So don't be worried too much if you think this is going to continue in that much more of that adult-rated tone that we saw from the last crop of the New 52 animated series. There's no foul language, I believe, throughout this animated series either, so that's good to see as well. And the movie does become less inspired in the second half of the movie. It repeats a lot of those elements that we saw in previous animated movies, such as Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, and also The Throne of Atlantis especially. So when I was watching the climax to the film, it was feeling all too familiar and a bit generic, I would say, overall as it comes to its conclusion. And I think events were wrapped up a bit too easily, and the conclusion of the film really feels rather flat overall. So there wasn't, I would say, a real urge to repeat watching this movie overall. It's not a bad conclusion, it's not very convoluted, it makes sense in the short term of what's going on, but it wasn't really that impactful, and I think they should have really tried to go for a much more of a stronger landing in terms of the story and the way that it was concluded overall. And from a personal point of view, I'm still wasn't satisfied with how Superman himself was adapted. He's in it at the beginning of the movie and then he comes through halfway through without spoiling it too much. But I think it again shows how Warner Brothers and DC still can't get to grips with showing Superman, the heroic Superman, the inspirational character, the proactive character. There's always got to be this never-ending darkness or ulterior motive towards the character. He can't just straightforward be the classical positive character that we've known him so much to be. And yes, this is an Elseworld story overall, so I will concede that, but I just want to see if we can get an animated movie that's really epic and showing this Superman how he should be overall. So that was a much more of a disappointing aspect to this film, and that was really more of a personal preference from my perspective overall. So I had to give a score for Justice League World War II Society. I would give it a 6.8 out of 10. Very solid, very good story, compelling in the first half of the movie, dissolves more into the generic in the second half, but overall a very good animated story overall. I wouldn't quite put it up there in the same levels as your Flashpoint Paradox or your Dark Knight Returns. I'd even say that Superman Man of Tomorrow was probably better than this overall, and as was Superman Red Sun, but this is a solid entry overall, and hopefully they can step up the pace a bit in terms of the storytelling aspects of this new era that we are in terms of the DC animated movies. So those are my thoughts and feelings on Justice League World War II Society. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You can check out on my channel other reviews of animated movies such as Superman Red Sun and also Justice League Apocalypse Dark. Those are also within the channels. Go to the playlist, and I may even leave those links within the end card of this video as well. So if there are other DC animated movies that you'd like me to cover, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please also hit those like and subscribe and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.